Welcome to Buns, Burgers, and Big Ideas, the go-to podcast for aspiring and seasoned leaders in the quick service restaurant industry. Each week, we serve up actionable insights and proven strategies to help you lead smarter, build stronger teams, and elevate operations. Whether you're taking your first steps into leadership or refining your expertise, we're here to fuel your growth and spark big ideas. Let's dig in.
Here we are. We appreciate you tuning in and taking another chance. If it's your first episode, right, you're in a good place. You're in good hands. We're excited to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time. If it's not quite your first episode, than's for coming.
Thanks for thanks for hanging around with us.
Right.
You know, we're still having a blast.
and today is a good one. Today's topic that we're discussing is basically like things happen, right? Like there's other words we could use there, but things are going to happen. Chaos is going to happen. So how do we just get used to? Like I was in an interview the other day and we said like they like the chaos. So how do we live in that chaos? But how do we help control some of that chaos?
Yeah. Absolutely. What do you mean by chaos?
Shoot, I wish I knew something.
Well, let's whittle it down to one today. We only have so much time.
Yeah, no, it's great because the restaurant industry is the most amazing thing, right? Like that's where I think like I love people. But I also, I get where she was coming from because I like the chaos that can ensue from being in the restaurant industry. But when I say chaos, it's more of a controlled chaos. At least that's where we want to be. Because every day things are going to happen. And I know I haven't run a restaurant in a couple, like I actually can say the word decades, right?
Yeah,
It's been a couple of decades. But the same still holds true. And when I get the opportunity to talk to our shift managers or be a part of leadership team, meetings or workshops or whatever it is, it's always some of the same stuff, right? Like people aren't going to show up, right? Like that's a common example, right? Like you're going to have call-offs.
Yep.
But guess what? For those of you that have been around for a while, like myself, call-offs happened 20, 30 years ago, and call-offs are going to happen probably 20 to 30 years from now. So I think that's where I'm talking about. It's like you can expect certain things, and those certain things don't have to be chaotic.
Yeah. Or the end of the world, or really change your whole mood. They don't. At least they don't have to. Right?
Yeah. And what's really cool though, Riley. What's different nowadays, I think, is we also have analytics behind what those are, right? So let's just, if we're going to build off, say, call-offs, right, or the attendance issues, right? Because we have time and attendance issues. Like as an organization, and that's the thing, we have the data to show this now. We have about a 90% success rate on people who show up for their shifts. So, but we could look at that the opposite way, right? We'd be like, well, 10% of our team calls off. Right, like so. Once again, like how do we want?
How do you frame it?
How do we want to frame this as a shift manager or a leader in our restaurants? And what I used to focus on a lot of the times, the people who didn't show up. Well, they didn't show up. Now we're gonna have a bad day, and now now
we're short a person. Now we're not gonna be able to hit our targets. Now it's all because of this one person,
right? Or the opposite, like yes, today I'm gonna run labor, right? Thank goodness we had two call-offs because now I'm just gonna run profit, which is okay, I think to a degree, but ultimately we're still looking at the employee engagement side, right? We're looking to make sure our people are happy, but I used to focus on the ones who didn't show up, and I wish. And I do now, but I wish a long time ago I would have focused on the ones who did show up, the ones who are ready to kind of fight that fight with us, the ones who are there and dedicated to the success of the restaurant, to themselves, right? Whether it's for a paycheck or not, they showed up. So just how do we celebrate that? How do we get rid of that negativity? How do we get out of that chaos of like bad, where it's like, hey, you guys showed up. We get it. Billy couldn't show up. Billy couldn't be here. But let's not focus on that. Let's focus on what we do have.
Yeah. Eric, you mentioned a lot about the statistics and the data that we have behind it, right? And that data is meant for us to do something with, whether it's coaching or whatever. And I think what's important is with that data, we plan. We plan our shifts. We do our shift sheets. We do our pre-shift, and we understand where we're at, what we have. So then when something does inevitably happen and Bob calls off or whatever, now we know, we're okay. because I know my shift sheet and I know I can move people around and I can do this. But you mentioned how do we not be negative about that? And I was thinking about that, and it's not easy to change your mindset. But I think when we work with our team, we just have to keep them in mind, because the culture and the mood and the morale in the restaurant shifts when somebody calls off, and now it's, oh man, everything's gonna go down with it with one person.
Yeah. And that's where and I get it. The real world is tough, right? Like,
for sure.
But we are talking real world, right? And there are really things that we can do to wrap our heads around that. Like, if we're literally at a 90% success rate, for every 10 employees, you can anticipate maybe one call off. So if you have 10 people on your shift, maybe you're going to end up with 9. And I'm not saying that like every day that's going to happen, but statistically, that's where we're at. People are going to show up, early, late, or whatever. Like, there will people that show up late. So when we talk shift sheets, I hated doing shift sheets. But we talk about doing them, a day or two, or like we talk about doing them in advance, right? But the thing is it's not just about the shift sheet. It's not just about putting names in a block and saying, okay, here's our perfect shift and here's what it looks like. It really is in your head, right? Or role-playing scenarios. Like, I would encourage you to role play scenarios. Like, you already know, like you mentioned Bob, poor Bob, right? Like, Bob apparently just calls off and doesn't show up. But like, if you know that Bob's attendance rating is 60%, it's a coin flip of whether or not that person, like, first of all, that's a different story, right? Like, you should be having a conversation, and we can dive into that a little bit too, but like, Bob should know that's an issue, right? Like, Bob should know, and we should have those conversations. And maybe Bob can't show up on time because he's dropping the kids off, and it has to happen later.
So many solutions.
A million different scenarios of why maybe Bob isn't there. But when it comes down to it, those shift sheets and wrapping your head around those scenarios, like, if this person doesn't show, here's what I can do, or here's the list of people I can call, or here's what we can do in advance, right? Like, I'm going to tell you, like, spring is almost here, right? And I know as well as you do, right, that when spring comes, that first warm day comes, right, you're going to want all of a sudden be like, I'm going to go have a picnic. Like, we're picnic people now. But also, you're going to have employees who maybe just they feel the burn, right? They get the
We're
heat.
outside.
They want to get outside, right?
Outside,
the last thing we want to do is come in for a 3-4 hour shift, right? And potentially work with, first of all, if they're working with a leader who maybe is a bad leader, right? Like, that gives them even more reason to want to call off that day. Let's go enjoy the weather. So knowing those things and seeing those scenarios is role play that stuff. And align for the shift you want, plan for the chaos, right? Plan for the best, but prepare for the worst. And shift sheets are more than putting names in. It's about preparing for those things.
It's looking at the data and being able to manipulate it or move things around that you need to. You mentioned a bad leader, and so I want to unpack that just a little bit more as well. We all have heard, when Bob, poor Bob, when Bob calls off, there's negativity that ensues, and the shift manager's calling people in. And they're calling, and every person they call, well, is who's working tonight? Who's the manager for that shift? Oh, it's Susan. Oh, I don't want to work with Susan. I'm okay. I'm busy tonight.
Yeah.
After another. Well, as a leader in the restaurant, maybe we have a conversation with Susan too as to why that is. But in our earlier episodes, we talked about connecting with your employees and building that rapport and building that relationship. So when you do that, another reason to do that is to build that trust and build that relationship with them. Yeah. So you can call on those people. And now when you call, who's working? Susan. Oh, heck yeah. I'll be there. When does she need me?
I don't know about you, Riley, but when especially at the crew level, it would be like, hey, can you come and work tonight? Okay, cool, but who's the manager on duty?
Right.
Like, before I would even say yes or no, it's who's in charge
that's
or
the
who's
question.
on duty. And if people are asking you those questions, I think that's just culturally what we would want to look at the restaurant level. And have that conversation with that person. Sometimes we just sweep that stuff under the rug, right? Or we don't want to have that hard conversation. Well, just so you know, people call off on your shift, right? And here's some things or here's some reasons as to why. And I love the conversation around that. But that creates chaos for those people. And we don't want that. And I think we can create a better, like you said, rapport with our people from, having the right intent, finding those commonalities. But ultimately, we as the shift managers, we as the leaders of the restaurant, crew, it doesn't matter, whatever level you're at, we can plan these things to not allow the chaos to really control our day.
Right. And use the data.
Yeah.
Use the data. The black and white is super helpful. It can be if you use it correctly.
Yeah.
It's not a blame fest, but hey, again, your intent.
Mm-hmm.
Bob, what's going on? You've missed 4 out of the last 10 shifts. Like, is everything okay? And you show that care, you show that connection,
Mm-hmm.
that empathy. Bob might be like, no, I just didn't want to come in.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But now maybe it's his car's broke down or he's taking the kids to an after school program or something and he can't be there right away. Awesome. Thanks for telling me, Bob. Why don't we scoot your shift back by 30 minutes?
Yeah, and there's other scenarios too. It could be what they're facing in the restaurant. Maybe there's conflicts between that person and another person that they don't necessarily want to share with you. Maybe they were promised something. Maybe they were told that they would be trained in the service area and they haven't been. So, maybe their motivation level or their engagement level isn't
low.
there. So it's not always even the personal side. Sometimes we say things to people and we don't deliver on our promises. Like, hey, Riley, yeah, tomorrow I'm going to train you. And then I don't because I got stuck in my own whirlwind of everything. And now you're going to hold that against me.
There goes the trust and respect because you told me you were going to and then you didn't. You didn't follow through. Absolutely. And that's a whole nother episode. But there's some crazy stuff that we can do as managers and leaders in the restaurant to help mitigate some of these things. And a lot of it is the negativity. If we're negative, the restaurant's going to feel it. Yeah. The guests are going to feel it. And if we can just take that beat and talk to our team. Hey guys, I know Bob's not here, but we're gonna crush this stuff anyway. We're gonna do our best.
Yeah. So let's talk about the guest side of this for a little bit, if you don't mind. We were doing some role playing scenarios the other day, and we played the scenario where the wait time was longer than expected. Right. So we go to the manager and we're role playing this and we say, okay, what is your response? The customer comes to you and says, hey, I've been waiting, 10 minutes and, I don't understand why. I just want my food. Let me get out of here. And right away the manager's response was, we're short staffed. Right. And it's going to be a few more minutes. But I'm going to tell you, right, like the fact that we're short staffed, our customers, and this is where your employees too, right? Your employees and your customers, honestly, like it's not their problem.
Yeah, they don't care.
It sounds like a you problem, right? Like I still want my food. I still want to be treated and have the same service that I expect. And even as an employee, I want that same service and experience that I expect, right? So like all of a sudden my manager being so like, it makes me wonder if they talk about Bob that way when he calls off, what do they say about me?
Yeah.
Right? And then from a guest perspective too, I'm going to tell you, like, if you come to me and say you're short staffed, I
don't care.
I don't.
As a guest, that's the last thing I want. That's an excuse.
No,
you're making an excuse.
Yeah, as somebody who's run the organization, I care, right? But like from a guest perspective, like that's just that sounds like something you need to figure out. But a better response is, hey, you're right. Right? Like it is a little longer than usual, but I'm going to make sure that your food is, hot. I'm going to make sure that it's great. And if you don't mind, next time we'll deliver on that. Right? And then maybe you offer that, what did you say, a pie? We're going to offer that pie, right? But that's where I'm telling you, don't take it out on your customers, right? Don't take it out on your customers on either side of the counter, whether it's our employees or our guests, because we have to stop making the excuses and we have to turn those situations, that chaos, into just better for the future. So what are we going to do differently? We're going to do our shift sheets better. We're going to have a conversation with Bob who's calling off. We're going to maybe give people, I'm going to tell you, inspections. We talked about this a little bit, but people show up when we have inspections. So why? Why though, Riley? Like in your opinion, why do people show up when we have an inspection?
Well, we place a huge amount of importance on that day and we hold that standard we hold them accountable to that. It's mandatory. You better be here. Yeah. Why is it different than any other day though? I don't know. I'm also not in the restaurants, but from the aspect that we're talking about, why is it any different? Why is today any different than a Tuesday or Friday when you're doing, plus 10 guest counts or whatever?
Yep. And I think it just comes down to that employee engagement side, right? Like we get everyone rallied around the engagement around the inspection, but we can have that feel. I think what's dismissed is the fact that we can do these things every day. We can have that same inspection day
feeling
every day.
Oh, just like our first episode. We want every day to feel like your first day.
Yeah. So the reality is we can do, but we make we'll have extra labor on. We have more importance. We have this. We have more focused energy, but we can do it every day.
Something I kind of had an aha moment.
Okay.
So you said every day we can have this inspection day, right? Every day can be an inspection day.
Yeah.
But I think that just starts as the leader, and the morale and the excitement and the feeling that you put into every day, on your shifts. Our shift leaders too. If you are excited and you are pumped up to hit goals, you can do that every day. It doesn't have to be on an inspection day that you're pumped up and ready to go, you know?
And you said it, like, we may not run restaurants, we may not be in the restaurants, but I'm going to tell you, like, the staff that I work with, they show up every day. And when they do, and when they're not able to make it, we have great conversations around that, right? Like, because things are going to happen, situations are going to happen, and it's no different. Like, we just, our people, right, as human beings, we want to feel empowered, we want to be developed, and we want leaders that care about us. And I think we can have it all. And I think if that's what you want out of your leadership style, and if you want those employees to be able to be there for you and show up for you and have that engagement where they're getting you the results, like, pretend it is every day then.
Yeah.
Because a Tuesday night is just as important as a Friday lunch. Or Friday lunch is just as important as a Sunday overnight, right? Like, these shifts, these sales, these customers, our employees matter. And it's up to us to create that environment to where they do want to. And from an engagement side, I'm going to tell you, they're going to usually think twice when they say, okay, well, should I or shouldn't I call off?
If they're more engaged, you mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if they're more engaged, they might be like, I could probably go to work.
Yeah, right. Like, give them a reason to get out of bed in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Like, celebrate that with them. But yeah, things happen. I'm going to tell you, things are going to happen. It's not going to be a perfect world ever, right? We're going to always have that little bit of chaos in the restaurant industry. That's what I loved about that conversation is when you say chaos, you can think of a million different scenarios when it comes to what's chaotic in your life. But if we can control the things we can control, right? If we can get those things to be more like tying our shoes, where we're not as focused on some of the stuff that maybe just doesn't matter as much, the chaos is easier to control.
Yeah, it's like controlled chaos.
Yeah.
I do like that. I mean, that is the fun part about the industry. So
yeah. But no, I appreciate you guys tagging along. I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Once again, things are going to happen regardless of what we do. The best laid plans, right? Whether it's a sports analogy or any other thing you want to throw in there, you're going to have to make adjustments. But all I would say is as you're making those adjustments, as you're living in the chaos, it's okay to talk to your team, but it's not okay to talk to your team in that negative light. And it's not okay to talk to your team about the issues that your other employees might be facing, because once again, I think it does boil down to, if they're going to talk to me about this person, then what are they going to do when I do some of these same things? And the environment just isn't what I would want to work in.
Maybe
I would imagine you wouldn't either.
Yeah, no. Maybe we'll have an episode about gossip at some point.
there you go. Yeah.
Because
The water cooler talk.
Sometimes there's no point in it.
Right.
But another time.
Things happen, and I think just control what we can control, and let's try to stay as positive as we can about those things.
Positivity.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining us on Buns, Burgers, and Big Ideas. We hope today's episode inspired fresh ideas for your leadership journey. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and keep learning with us as we continue to explore leadership in the QSR world. Until next time, take care and lead well.